Hey, 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 story time. Oh, 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 oh. Story time. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? I got a good one for you tonight. I got one that's going to help everybody tonight. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Yeah. Oh, boy. Hi, how you doing? I'm waiting for my guests to come in the room. I'm waiting for my guests to come in the room. Good afternoon or evening. Where are you located? Share this live because this is going to be a good one. Share this live. It's 9 o'clock on the dot. Let me just tell you what's going on here tonight. I want to make sure that my guest knows I am here. I want to make sure to tell her to come on in the room. Listen, God, this is going to be a good one tonight. This young lady has some great information for everyone. So I want y'all to share this live and let people know that we are here. And yeah, I want everybody to know that we are here so we can get started. And thank you from New Orleans. Yes. Yeah, I two-strand twisted them, and so they'll lock up a little bit, then I'll let them loose. But it was time to get them redone. Definitely, we had to get them redone. I'm so excited about this young lady that's coming tonight because she has so much information that is going to help so many individuals. And so I'm excited. I'm excited about what's getting ready to take place. So get ready. Get ready because this is really going to be a good one for you. She should be coming in any minute. And I am looking. There she go. There she go. Angela, send a request so you can come on up. Let me go back to my music so I can welcome you. Hey, I gotta let you know it's your time. Wait a minute.
Oh, yes.
It's your time to shine.
I know that's right.
Yeah. I always start off and tell people this because sometimes we giving somebody else. So I want to say it's your time.
I know that's right. I received it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, I want to get right into it because I know in the event of time, everybody really, we want to get straight on in. Go ahead and send the request out. Let people know. Share this live. Let people know that we are here because this is going to be important. I want to take a minute to let you know I have Miss Angela Billups on the line, and I want to thank you so much for taking time out to help more individuals like you already do. This young lady is a certified registered nurse anesthetist. Did I say that right?
Anesthetist or anesthesiologist, either one.
Okay, anesthesiologist. And she's a certified health coach, and she helps people to live healthy. And before we go into everything she does, I know she's a dog mom, and I know she spent about 10 years just helping people to break their cycle of chronic stress, burnout, and all the things that happen in your body to give you hormonal imbalances. And she just makes sure she helps people to make those right choices to help us to survive and not go crazy, you know. But before we get there, tell the people who have never been on your page a little bit about who is Angela and how did she get to this point.
Well, good evening, everyone. And Crystal, I just want to say thank you so much. I really appreciate you opening up your platform and your viewership to bring this information that could be helpful to somebody or even somebody that they know. You know, I always appreciate people like you who try to bring the best of what's out there to other people, because there's so much we don't know and we don't have to share our own spotlight. So I really want to just give honor to you for doing that and express my gratitude. So thank you so much for that.
Yes, ma'am.
So my name is Angela Billups. Like she said, I have been in healthcare for 26, 27 years at this point. And I've gone through a whole journey with working as a physical therapist, then as a registered nurse, then going back to school for anesthesia. And for me, I burned out from what I was doing. I love healthcare. I absolutely love it. I've always been a science geek. I've always loved anatomy and physiology. It's a place that was a good fit for me when it was a good fit for me, you know, but things have changed over time. And I started to feel like this was a big stress on my life rather than something I was looking forward to doing. Even before other things in life started happening, that started making me really have to look at my lifestyle. And so I remember doing anesthesia, and I had a schedule that most people would be like, girl, what's wrong with you, right? I worked 3 days a week, 12 hours, and I could work a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 1 week, and not come back to work until the following Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And so I would travel a lot during that in-between time because I thought if I could just get away, I would feel better. I wouldn't feel so conflicted about my job and what I was doing and all the heaviness that was starting. And I wasn't able to put a finger on it. And that's one thing that I find a lot of people say to me is when it starts, they're not able to quite put a finger on why they're feeling unsettled or why they're not happy any longer doing what they spent so many years training to do, what they invested so much time and money in doing. And so that was what was happening to me, but I didn't know it. And then fast forward a little bit more, just the lifestyle of being in healthcare, being on call, working night shift, all those kind of things, coupled with going through a divorce, having one parent who was diagnosed with a terminal illness, was supposed to have 6 weeks to live, but ended up having 3 years, right? And taking care of him and going through that with him. And he lived 3 hours away. And then as soon as he passed, I had another parent who got diagnosed with something else that I was going to have to become a caregiver for. And then that went on. So the burnout that was starting to form even before all these other things came on, coupled with a health condition that I started having that I was misdiagnosed for 4 times in the medical system that I'm a part of, right? And if I wasn't able to be such a strong advocate for myself, I would have even had a hysterectomy had I listened to them.
Wow.
And yeah, I'm telling you. So there were a lot of things that all contributed to this just overwhelming sense of being burned out and just out of gas. You know what I mean? No energy to do anything. So this holistic health coaching, you want to go ahead?
I was going to say, so you said it, burn out. Like you just described, the majority of people have something going on that has them overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. Life happens, people get sick, the job, the family. I mean, so when did you decide to start educating people on this thing called, is it adrenal fatigue and burnout? When did you get to this point, and what is it? And how do people know if they actually have this?
So for me, it started, first I had to educate myself, right? When I started having, and with me, it was hormonal issues that showed up with me having a cycle that was 3 months long. I literally lost half of my blood volume. And so that was when the misdiagnoses started happening, right? You know, the medical system, especially Western medicine, just doesn't know a lot about how nutrition affects the body, and just, they don't treat you as a whole. So they were so focused on gynecological conditions that they were throwing diagnoses at me left and right, when just because I had a feeling and an intuition that what they were telling me wasn't correct, I decided, and I told them, listen, I'm not going to let you do surgery. I'm going to take a couple months to see if I can eat better, change some things I'm doing, see if that helps. And if it doesn't, we can revisit this conversation. And just through going and learning how to do intermittent fasting with juicing and becoming a transformation coach, because I wanted the information for myself, I was able to reverse all of that. So that was my first big clue. And when I realized even the doctors didn't understand what I was doing and how it worked, that's when I knew I needed to start talking to other people, especially, you know, women, Black women. We are constantly being told we have this, that, or other condition, not being listened to, and being, you know, pushed into treatments that maybe if you couldn't do anything else, maybe if you couldn't make any lifestyle changes, it would be your only choice, but you're not even offered the lifestyle changes, right? They tell you, well, just, you know, eat better. And nobody even told me that. To be honest,
Wow.
I asked my doctor, I said, well, do you think nutrition could play a part? Do you think weight loss could play a part? And he said, no. There are people
Wow.
much bigger than you who don't have your problem, so weight has nothing to do with it. But come to
Wow.
find out from the changes I made, I lost 25 pounds in a month and everything stopped.
So
So
let
it
me ask you.
was all related.
So let me ask you this question. So we know people think all the time about changing their diet. They think all the time about weight loss, but people don't talk about burnout. People don't talk about that much. Let's talk about burnout. What does it
So
feel when a person is burnt out? How does that affect them, and what do they need to be aware of when it comes to getting burnt out?
So one of the reasons people don't talk about it a lot, literally, it only became an actual diagnosis, right, in 2019. And we know this has been going on way before that. You know, I talk to people about this all the time. Why is it that we don't do the things we need to do to not feel that way? Or why is it that when we start feeling that way, we feel like we just need to power through it, right? We love to say we just got to do what we got to do. And so it's one of the reasons people don't talk about it, because it seems like everybody else is doing what they have to do. And it feels like complaining. So
Yes.
I don't know about your viewership, but I'm Generation X, right? I was born in the 70s. I
Yes.
watched my baby boomer mother and
Yes.
aunties. I watched them do everything, right? They had businesses, they had 1, 2, 3 jobs, they had kids involved in every activity under the sun. They were wives. My mother was a community activator and grassroots organizer. Like, when I look at the things I saw her doing growing up, it boggles my mind.
That's right.
And she modeled that behavior for me.
Yes.
And so as a young woman and someone who came up in college, you know, and graduated from school, I was always about that hustle mentality,
Yes.
right? I've had my own business since I was 13. And so it
Wow.
was nothing to me to have a full-time job, have a side hustle, and then have another business to work on the weekends. And I started that from young, right?
So, wow.
So I
Wow.
feel like sometimes it gets passed down to us, especially as women,
Yes.
right? Because we
Yes.
have to wear all the hats.
That's
And
true.
we don't think, you know, we didn't talk about this self-care stuff when I was growing up. Like, this is new. I'm almost 50, and we're just now really starting to look at self-care and how people will work themselves to the bone and feel depressed and feel anxious and have all these things going on without ever even talking to their friends, let alone getting help. So I think that answers why people don't really talk about it. They think it's what life is supposed to be.
So you had a video you did, and you said if you can't add nothing else to your plate, and you just absolutely are full, and most people, they just keep adding and adding and adding. Most single mamas, they adding and adding, and just like somebody posted here, somebody said nutrition makes all the difference in the world. For me, burnout is real.
Yep.
Yes, it is real, but did people know that burnout could lead to conditions such as what you're mentioning? So what would you
Yeah,
tell people?
the adrenal fatigue part. So no, most of the people that reach out to me, people will see a video and be like, oh my God, that sounds just like me, right? Like that video you're talking about. I don't know. I think it's like 3,000 and some likes on there. I got so many messages. People were like, oh my God, you're talking about my life, but I've never heard of adrenal fatigue. And I've done several videos that talk about why you may not have heard of it. And like I said, Western medicine, it's not a thing. So burnout just became a diagnosis in 2019. Adrenal fatigue still is not a recognized diagnosis.
So
And
what is it? What is adrenal fatigue? For somebody
uh,
just coming in, they don't know what we're talking about. Tell them what we're speaking about. What is adrenal fatigue? Is that another synonym for burnout?
it's not a synonym for burnout. So if you think about too much salt can give you hypertension, right?
Right.
Too much salt, sugar can give you diabetes. Too much
Right.
cholesterol might be a stroke or a heart attack. Too much stress can lead to adrenal fatigue.
Wow.
So that's the tie-in between burnout. Burnout is the result of chronic stress, right? You
Okay.
just to the point where you're not managing your stress well anymore. And if you've been stressed even for a little bit of time, it can affect your hormonal balance. But over time, chronically, it will start to affect your HPA axis. And so instead of getting too scientific and going too far, I get to the A part, and that's the adrenals,
Wow.
right? And your adrenals, your cortisol is one of the main hormones that your adrenals produce, and it is the one that controls inflammation. It
Mm.
is what helps with your stress response. So imagine if you're chronically stressed and you've been pumping out cortisol all day long, every day to help your body, because stress, emotional stress, chemical stress, physical stress, all of these things have effects on your body.
Yes, that's true. And somebody typed, I don't even know how to manage stress. You are not alone. There's a
No,
lot of people that don't know how to manage. Let me ask you, so you saying if you're stressed out, your body will get inflamed?
yes,
Wow.
absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. And we know inflammation is what is underlying basically all the chronic diseases. And so you start to see a lot of health and wellness people speaking now on inflammation and how it affects so many things. But at the end of the day, you can eat well, right? You can diet, you can exercise, you can do all the things. If you still aren't managing the stress, then
Wow.
you're not dealing with the problem. You're just putting a band-aid on it. And so
Wow.
that's what I talk about, this whole adrenal recovery issue, because for me, I had to realize that was a big part of what I was dealing with, right? Weight gain on, weight loss, I would exercise, do all the things, and it would work temporarily. But because I hadn't learned how to manage my stress or set my life up in such a way as to prevent the stress from getting to that point where it was affecting me physically, right? It's like a lot of unlearning of things that we
Wow.
thought we were supposed to do, and then relearning the things that we need to do.
So if you're just coming in the room, Angela Billups has a wealth of experience. She works in the registered nurse anesthesiology field, and then she's a wholeness coach, and she's telling us about adrenal fatigue and stress and burnout. And what she just said was powerful, because she said that if you are stressed out, it leads to adrenal fatigue, and if you have that, you'll get your body inflamed. So what are some signs of burnout that people need to know, like I'm on the verge of being burnt out and I could be put myself in this situation?
So what I was talking about in the beginning, when I was saying I couldn't put my finger on it, but I wasn't feeling it with work, you start to lose joy for things that you
Mm.
used to really enjoy. So that's one thing, right? You can become very apathetic.
Oh,
Like
wow.
nothing moves you anymore. Hanging out with your friends doesn't move you. Getting up and going to a job that you used to love or doing a career that you love all of a sudden doesn't do it for you. In fact, you start to dread it, right? Or you start to even resent it. You
Wow.
may have feelings like what you're doing, and I hear this a lot with educators and healthcare workers too, that what they're doing isn't really helping anybody. Like you start questioning, why am I even here?
Wow.
Why am I here? You also start to have the physical signs, right? Stress will age you. You
Mm.
will start to look older. You will start to feel older, right? Those are signs of burnout as well. Sometimes, like I said, when that chronic stress now starts to turn to adrenal fatigue, you're going to have increased blood pressure. You're going to have that abdominal weight gain where you used to be able to go fast or go do your favorite Zumba program for a month and eat right and the weight will come off. It doesn't budge,
Wow.
right? Like I said, depression, anxiety, there's so many things. And the thing with adrenal fatigue is there's actually stages. There's 4 stages. And so it will depend on where you are in the stage as to what symptoms you may see. But insomnia, right? Not being able, they call it tired but wired. And I did this for years. I would stay up late, very late. And then I would, I felt like I was more productive late at night. I was tired. I wanted to go to bed, but I felt like my brain turned on at like 11 o'clock at night. And I would say, okay, I have 1 or 2 more things to do. Let me just do that. And next thing I know, it would be 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I still got to get up and go to work. It's because your cortisol, it has a circadian rhythm and your rhythm is off.
Wow.
And it's because you spent time not sleeping like you should.
So when somebody comes to you, because this is the area that you focus on, how do you help them? If somebody was interested and they think that they are on the verge of being burnt out and they want to avoid getting to this level,
Yeah.
what would you tell them to do? How would they contact you, and what would be the steps that you would take them through?
Well, my main platform on social media is Instagram. So they could reach me at Angela A. Billups, with the A is the middle initial. They also get text and newsletter from me. So in my profile, it has the links to where they can connect with me. I have a couple freebies in there, right? I have 8 steps to making a more burnout resistant life. Like, these are the things I actually did when I said I had to start implementing things to be able to manage that stress. Because without doing that, the rest of it is just building a house of cards. Any card will pull it out. Yes, somebody said, what about headaches? Definitely. That is also a sign. And like I mentioned, the insomnia. So one of the things I help them do, one, is identify if they actually have these signs of adrenal fatigue. And there's actually a quiz in my bio that if people are interested, they can take that and see how many signs they have. A lot of people are interested in weight loss, so I help them with that as well, but not just, okay, here's something you can do to lose this weight in a month. You know what I mean? Because again, if you don't resolve that underlying issue, it's just going to come back if you can lose it at all. So I help people work with ways to get themselves into a place where they can manage their stress, prevent it before it happens, get the holistic component in as far as their eating and their lifestyle, and help them understand that that's exactly what this has to become, as a lifestyle.
Wow. And
There's
I
no
see
quick
it.
fix.
I see it on your profile. You say, I help women break the cycle of burnout and adrenal fatigue and sacrificing their own health and happiness.
And
Ladies,
stop sacrificing their own.
sacrificing to help
Yes.
stop. So, and then there's a hormone quiz. So click the button up top next to the arrow with her name and go take the quiz, especially if you know you are somebody that has many children, many jobs, many responsibilities, you're taking care of people, you have too much going on and you just can't figure it out and you can't get your rest and you see you're gaining weight and you're getting inflamed. You want to do this because, as you see, like she said, they're not addressing it in the doctor's office. This is an area they're not addressing. It's like a secret, and she's in the field, and even she had to question the doctors when they came to her. So what did that tell you? What did that leave us, Angela? We're not in the medical field.
I know it. And that's why advocacy is so important. Connecting with platforms like this is so important. We have to start to speak up. We have to talk to one another. We have to raise our hands and ask questions. We cannot we're not in a place anymore where we can just take what anybody tells us at base value. You know your body. And that's
Right.
what I tell people. I hear from a lot of women, once they start hearing all these signs and symptoms that I'm telling you, they say, I told my doctor about that and they just told me it was this and they just told me it was that. And that's fine. Maybe that's where their start. But if you feel like your doctor's not listening to you. So I'm not anti-medicine at all, because there is a place for that. But I am very much pro do all the things you can do. So that is where the holistic lifestyle comes in. Change what you're eating, so that, because you're either feeding a problem or you're fighting it.
So let me ask you this.
One or the other.
Let me ask you this, because you got it on your page. Why do you think the doctors don't tell people about adrenal fatigue?
They're not educated in it, number one.
Wow.
That is a big part of it. They do like one semester of nutrition in their whole medical school training. So when it comes to using nutrition to heal or to prevent, that's not a part of their training.
Wow.
And they're not going to tell you they don't know. They're always going to act like they know, or they'll print out something and say, here, go do this. The other thing is that there's no pill to fix adrenal fatigue, right?
Wow.
There's no lobby in Congress pushing any agenda around women's health, period. you know, if you look at women's health, period, in this country, nobody cares. Like outside of breast cancer, what are we even talking about when it comes to women? And we know what just happened. So women's health, this is just like, okay, my doctor didn't either. You know, she who's this craft girl going wild? She said her doctor didn't know how to address menopause.
Wow.
Mine didn't either. Just because of my age, that's what they assumed. I didn't have a period for almost 2 years. And so they just, you know, I'm 48 now, so this started when I was 46, and they just assumed, oh, you're perimenopausal. Told me to take soy, take estrogen, eat some soy, and just, you know, that's where you are in your life. Just by starting to work on my adrenal recovery a couple months ago, my period just came back.
Wow. So
it just came back.
Wow.
So they really don't know.
Wow. So there's so many things going through my mind. So a man can have this? A man can't have adrenal fatigue?
Absolutely he can. Absolutely he can. This is based on stress. So anybody could. And it affects sexual function, it affects libido, it affects energy, it affects mood. So even in men, if they've been chronically stressed, and you know, they're even less apt to talk about feeling off in any kind of way, especially in hormonal ways. But yeah, cortisol is a stress hormone for everybody, and it also is in line with the estrogen and testosterone production, so it affects everyone.
Wow. Well, I appreciate you guys putting the questions in there. You see that it would definitely be beneficial for you to take a minute, go by and follow Angela and really get some more information, not just for you, but we need to let our children know ahead of time. We need to be aware. We need to reduce the stress. We need to find out about our spouses, our significant others, because if we have communication and we go find out, then we can make sure that they're not stressed. You know, stress is a underlying killer also, not only because of adrenal fatigue, but stress is killing people. And what would you say about that? So that's another reason people need to make sure they definitely get rid of the stress, because it is a silent killer.
It is, but usually you hear in the terms of heart attacks, and that's what I'm saying. These adrenal problems a lot of time precede those things.
Wow.
Because when your hormones are off, and your hormones are just messengers, right? Your brain, I told you, was an HPA axis. It's your hypothalamus, your pituitary, and then your adrenals. So that's just the pathway that the brain sends messages out through hormones. They're just messengers. So if I need this body part to do something, I'm going to release some hormones to tell it what to do over there. If I need this body part to do something, I'm going to need to tell it what to do over there. And so once those pathways get disrupted, everything can go haywire. That inflammation can cause everything to go haywire. So a lot of infertility issues can also be because of this. There's so much tied to this stress. There's so much. And it's before that heart attack happens that it's already creating havoc in your body.
And ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you've seen it like I've seen it, but a lot of young people are dying from heart attack. Young people in their 20s, in their 30s. So we know that stress...
And it's that unexplained thing, right? They were healthy. They didn't have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and still somehow they had an aneurysm or a heart attack. Look at their lifestyle. I've seen it happen to doctors, surgeons in their 40s where everybody couldn't believe, because they were like the picture of health. They were super stressed though.
Wow.
We have to pay more attention to that and be very intentional. And I know people feel like, well, it's easy to say. But I will say this, there are things, and I'm going to just give people this action step that they can take, right?
Please do.
What you need to do is you really need to take inventory of the most important areas of your life, okay? Mm-hmm. So if you were to list those most important areas, it might look like your faith, your spirituality, it might look like your family, your finances, your health, right? Your relationships. It might be those things. It may be one or two others, but I'm talking about the most important things to you. If you look at those areas, you should rate how you feel you fare in those areas on a scale of 0 to 10. Okay? And I would say anything that's below an 8. You need to be very intentional about finding ways to get those numbers up. So if your health is a 2 for you right now, this is a critical area. You need to look, like, you have to be objective in this. I tell people all the time, you can't manage what you don't measure.
Yes.
So we have to take these things and put a measurement on them, and then you need to track them. So if you feel like you're a 2 in the month of July, you need to have a plan. What am I going to do to move up to a 4 in August, to move up to a 6 by September? You can't just keep saying, it's too much, I'm overwhelmed, I have too much on my plate. What is your plan to change that?
And that is so good, because I know that I became a caregiver, and I know that when I used to be a champ at multitasking. I used to be a champ at doing so much. I just said this to my cousin today. I said, I recognize as I get older, I don't juggle like I used to.
Mm-hmm.
It's a change, and I don't want to juggle like I used to. So right. I appreciate you sharing those action steps. And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to make sure you reach out to her, because our health is our wealth, man. I mean, if we don't have our health, we don't have anything. We can have all the ambitions and drives and dreams and aspirations and desires and places we want to go and people want to see, but if we don't have our health, we're not doing none of that. It's a matter of the time. We are a walking time bomb. And the reason why this is so important to me, because out of all the people, and this is probably episode number 51 for me since January, but this is so important because people are dying unnecessarily with heart attacks and things that they don't know about, unexplained, like you said. So we have to listen to our bodies, and she's telling you right now. So I really, really, really want you to reach out to her and do that quiz. Start with the quiz on her page. Start with the quiz on the page. She's telling you she's doing it. Most people that come on my platform are doing things because they're passionate about it, because they've experienced it. She's telling me she experienced it
now. And I had an episode, even though I've been working on this for a while, I'm not perfect. I'll be in a good run, and then, something else will happen. And that's when I realized I really had to be able to start to manage stress, because if something is going to come along and knock you off every time, you don't really have a system in place to manage it. You might be powering through, but you shouldn't be able to get knocked off every time something happens, because life is going to keep happening, right? And then, like I said, there's chemical, there's emotional, and there's physical. So for me, I had a chemical reaction to something at the end of December, which threw me in a whole inflammatory cascade. And I am working to get out of that now. And it has been a very humbling experience for me. I'm going to start talking about this more, but even me, I want to rush, right? It caused weight gain to come on. It caused swelling. It just so many things. And I want to rush to get it off. It's summertime. I want to look a certain way. I want to feel better in my body. I want to do all the things, but the things that I would do would actually be counterproductive to me recovering from adrenal fatigue.
Wow.
And so I have to play the long game, mm-hmm. and be humbled and mm-hmm. have mm-hmm. patience with my body and with myself. Mm-hmm. And that's the things that I'm sharing with people. People will come to me and be all about weight loss. And yeah, I could help you do that. But for what I'm talking about with burnout and adrenal fatigue, like that is a side effect. The weight loss will be a side effect of you making these changes that are going to make you more healthy overall, And
somebody put in here that the doctor overlooked the thyroid. If you're just coming in, you got to make sure you do the replay, because we're talking about burnout. We're talking about the equivalent to, I like the way you said it. You said salt gives you, what you say?
Hypertension.
Hypertension. You said sugar will give you diabetes, but stress will give you adrenal fatigue. And a lot of people don't know about adrenal fatigue. And we also talk about a lot of these heart attacks are coming from stress. So you really, really, really want to go back and hear some of the things she's saying. You want to follow her if you haven't followed her. You want to make sure you go through the quiz she has on her page. It's a free quiz on her page, and talk to her and find out we have to take better care of ourselves. We have to be here for our children, our grandchildren, our parents, whoever it is. But we have to be here, more importantly, for ourselves.
We have to be better examples for them, because like I said, my mother, my aunties, they were my world. They did all the things, but they did way too much. But that's the example they set. So I did way too much for years. So that's a generational thing that we have to shift.
And we think that that's it. the sad thing is we're kind of messed up because society has us thinking we're supposed to be boss and we're supposed to be doing all these things. So we got to be real careful because that causes us to overload because we're so overzealous and so driven, to get this money, to get the bag, and to do all these things, and we're ignoring our signs in our body. We're ignoring our body signs. And
all I want is a farm with some chickens, a couple goats, and everything that I grow myself. That's all I need.
Wow.
That's all I need. And it's an ocean close by. That's all I need.
That's it.
Right? I've worked a lifetime, and it took me going through a divorce to realize material stuff meant absolutely nothing. When it came to my happiness, I was my happiest in an efficiency 5 minutes from the beach, being able to go outside and eat fruit off the tree in the yard. Like, that was my happiest.
Wow.
And that's when I realized we have it wrong here.
Yes.
Right? We've gotten away from making the main thing, and we're so caught up, like you said, with keeping up with the Joneses, with keeping up with Instagram.
And the hustle. And the bustle.
All of that. And all it leads to is this burnout, adrenal fatigue cycle. And we just keep going and getting stuck in that until we're sick and either can't recover or, we check out early.
And so I'm going to tell you guys, and somebody said, yes, family genetics too. And she said that. She talked about that, friend. She talked about passing it down. Some family members pass it down. Like a lot of people, if you came from a family and they are entrepreneurs and they're go-getters, then you want to do that. And you want to push and you want to go and you want to get the degree and you want to go get the job and you want to be successful and you want to do all these things. But the biggest thing we're trying to get you to do is understand, listen to your body, Well, before you go, because I know your time is of essence, all of our time is of essence, before you go, anything particular that you told people about action steps, what are some things, anything you want to tell individuals they need to either be aware of or start to do any kind of change they need to make, or anything you have coming up, any type of programs or books or projects that you would like to share with people to tell them to get involved with that can help them to get through this process?
Yeah. So, there's levels to this, right? Some people are just hearing about this for the first time. They're just having their eyes open. They still don't know what it means to eat in a way that's healthy and helpful to their hormones. And so one of the biggest things I think is helpful to people is getting your house in order, right? It all starts at home because, one, you've got to start taking more control of what you're putting in your body, which means you need to start making more of your food, right? And so what I like to tell people is get your kitchen and get your pantry in order so that you're setting yourself up for success from the beginning. Now, you may not always eat something you make. Sometimes you may eat out, right? That's fine, but let that be sometimes the one-off. But the main thing should be coming from your house. And so I've been talking about that for so long, and I've been giving people recipes and examples and stuff on Instagram, but I'm actually finally doing a course on it. So I'm going to do a hormone healthy kitchen and pantry makeover course.
Oh, nice.
Yes, I'm excited about it because this is something I love to talk about. And eating in a way that's healthy for your overall health and your hormones is actually very, very, very good food. So I'm excited to share it with people so they can just start to make those small upgrades that will lead to big changes for them, especially when it comes to inflammation.
Where will that be? Where will it be? Online?
It's either going to be on, or like I'll do the course in a Facebook group and they'll be able to access. It'll be virtual. It will be virtual. Yeah, it's not going to be in person. So I do have a first to know list right now. So if they want to get on the VIP first to know list, that is also in the link in my bio. So they can just get on there. They can text, or you can just text makeover. The word MAKEOVER. You can text that to me at 202-938-2677, and that will get you on that list so that when I actually come out with, the people on the list will get the biggest discount originally, and they'll also know when it's coming out. So it's my first to know info list. So they can get it from the link in my bio, or they can text makeover.
And do I have the number right down there? 202-938-2677?
That is it. Thank you so much.
So text makeover if you're interested in finding out how to do this pantry makeover. Because you know what? A lot of times we go and we try to look at the ingredients and we try to follow these recipes, but we still might not have the right stuff in our own kitchen. So that's a beautiful thing what you're doing. And so you're trying to tell people to do more fruits and vegetables and still to get rid of. We might need to go clean house, y'all. We might need to go empty
We
out
do.
some of that stuff we have out there
A
and
lot of stuff
start
we think is
over.
healthy really isn't, but we think it is because they told us it was. So
Wow.
we're going to get down to the nitty gritty in this course so that you can know, regardless of somebody else telling you or whatever they put on the label, you will be able to know, is this something you need to include or something that you can let go of?
Now, when did this start?
I'm still putting the finishing touches together. So that's why I have the info list together, because as I'm ready to roll it out, then they'll have a date. They'll know what the prices are going to be and all that. So right now, if you're interested in getting more info, just get on the list. It doesn't obligate you to anything.
So, two more questions. If someone is anyone more apt to have burnout if they have any particular condition? Like, some conditions sometimes you might be more of a candidate for burnout. And if they do have that, like, should they take immediate action? Like, how there's some conditions, if you have it, it puts you more at risk. Is there any person that would be more at risk with adrenal failure?
That's really a good question. So as far as being at risk for burnout, like people with type A personalities, they
Okay.
they are at huge risk for burnout. If you're a super control freak, if things have to be done, a specific way, your way, all that kind of thing, there's nothing wrong. But just know that when it's broken down by personality types, you are the most at risk,
Wow.
right? Because a lot of times you're doing all the things. You're just doing all the things. So
That's
people
good.
who are made more laid back don't tend to burn out as much, and it makes sense, right? They can go with the flow. They pivot a lot better. They less things get them riled up.
Wow. So if you're a control freak, beware. Red flag, red flag, red flag. You are on the verge of burnout. Just
Yeah,
know. Start now. So, listen, Angela, I appreciate you. I do. Any other remarks that you'd like to leave us with? You told us about the course that you're going to do. We know about the link in your bio where they need to do the hormonal quiz. Anything else that we need to be aware of?
definitely. I would say if you're feeling that stress and you're feeling some of the things I described in the beginning, like I said, there's a free resource in there for you also on how to make your life more burnout resistant and things that you can do. So grab any of the freebies that's up there. That's what they're for, right? To give you more information. It'll be a way for us to stay connected either on or off social media. But really and truly, I can't stress enough. Having a system, right? Not taking a vacation, that's not a system. Not taking a day off work, that's not a system. Those are like emergency danger Will Roger type things, right? Yes, they may make you feel better in the moment, but the way you were feeling will come right back as soon as you get back from vacation. How many times does that happen? Right? Having a system in place to prevent the burnout from even happening, to let you know, to have those alarms setting off when your stress level gets to a certain point, and knowing what you can do to get yourself back down before it becomes too much, that is the most important thing. And if you haven't figured that part out, then please do connect with me about that, because without that, the rest of it is just, come and go, ebb and flow. It can work for you for a minute, but then it won't.
So what I'm hearing in conclusion is, ladies and gentlemen, it's something that can sneak up on you. You're not familiar with it. And if you don't have a system, and if you're personality A, then you really need to get some help before all this takes place.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we are around for our grandchildren coming up, our families, and if we are going to be here to take care of our elderly. So I truly, truly do thank you for all these nuggets that you've given us, for bringing us to, this point to at least be curious about what
Mm-hmm.
is adrenal fatigue, to at least ask more questions. I got from you also, ask more questions to the doctors. Ask them, well, could that be this? And make them go back and earn that money. They got the degree, but like you said, sometimes they don't know everything. They don't
Mm-mm.
know everything. So you got to challenge them sometimes. And don't just believe the diagnosis, guys. Don't just believe it. Do some research. So that's why we bring people like you. And I just want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing. And I will definitely be looking to read some of that information myself because I am a type A.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know I'm a type A. So we
You
can't.
you it's almost impossible. I don't think I've met one entrepreneur who isn't. I don't know how you could be and not be type A. There's too much to do. And you definitely, you're the one making it all happen. You're the maestro, you're the director of the orchestra. So it's very important for entrepreneurs, right? For moms, for people with high demand jobs, all of those types of people. It's very important that they have a way that they can, check in and make sure they do something about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you just popped in, please go back and do the replay. Angela Billups dropped some nuggets on us. Any closing comments, Angela?
I'm just tickled pink to have been here. I really appreciate this. Is a wonderful way to end my Sunday night. Part of my program is getting in bed by 10 o'clock. That's my drop dead time. So I'm on my way to go do that. But I really appreciate you all's time. I appreciate your questions. And if you have any questions that didn't get answered, feel free to reach out to me in the DMs and we can chat.
And ladies and gentlemen, you have it. You have heard another episode of Storytime. We aim to bring you important information that's life-changing, and we want to just be impactful in such a way. So if you have a story, you can DM me, and we can definitely talk, and we can see how you can help someone as well, because all of us have knowledge. We have experiences that we can share. So thank you once again for joining us tonight. We look forward to it. We'll put the links up so you can definitely go follow Angela. Angela, this is going to be reposted on several platforms, so more people are going to probably reach out. I'll probably tell them put that they saw it on Storytime, so you'll know. But this will go on my LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. It's going to be in many, many places. So, and on one of the platforms that goes to other countries too. So it's definitely going to be out there, bigger than what you see right now. These this. So I will make sure that we give them. We might have to come up with a code story time or something so you'll know. Well, where'd you hear? Oh, you were talking to that lady, Crystal. Yeah, so that's where that's gonna come from. So have a blessed evening. Awesome. Get some rest, and we're gonna talk because I'm gonna go and I'm gonna take the quiz too, and I'm gonna hook up with you for sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next week. We have some great stuff coming up. Thank you once again, Angela. I appreciate you, and we are going to call it a night. And we appreciate all of you for coming through. If you're not following me, follow me as well. Follow Angela, please. And just make sure you're taking care of yourself. You only have one life to live, guys. Listen to your body. Listen to your body. Listen to your body. It will not lie to you. It will not lie to you. Like, you have to know your body better than anybody else. So slow down and pay attention to you. All right? Have an amazing evening. My name is Crystal Bodie Smith. My mission is to stir up the gift, instill hope, and save lives. And I hope that something you heard tonight will save your life. See you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night.